This goes against the values of so many people. It has nothing to do with anyone being against a transgender child or a gay child. Nothing to do. We address harassment and bullying in the country and in the state. This has everything to do with keeping the federal government out of local issues.
Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick out with a strong and defiant response to President Obama today. The White House has issued a directive to public school districts with guidelines on allowing transgender students to use bathrooms and locker rooms matching their gender identity.
Patrick says he's against the plan, and students in Texas will only use the bathroom which correlates to their gender at birth. Now, this issue has been making headlines when conservative states like North Carolina began creating legislation aimed at regulating which restrooms transgender citizens can use.
Conservatives argue without these laws, sexual predators can enter restrooms of their choice to find victims. Those against the law point out there's no law barring sex offenders from entering any bathroom.
Fox 7's Jennifer Kendall has reaction tonight from the Texas education officials and the transgender community.
This is dangerous because it calls attention to a community that's already marginalized and attacked and victimized.
Texas public schools have never had a directive on how to handle transgender students who want to use the bathroom of their gender identity. Until now.
Most school districts handle these issues on a case-by-case basis.
Using bathrooms has always been a struggle for me, even before I transitioned or even knew what being transgender is. Even when I was identifying as a woman, whenever I use a public restroom, I would still get verbally harassed, sometimes physically assaulted when I was a kid.
President Barack Obama issued a directive through the Department of Education and the Department of Justice, allowing transgender students to use the bathroom and locker room of their gender identity.
Often what we experience as trans people is folks trying to push us back into closets. And in this way, it feels very much like the president has opened the door and said, no, you come out of there, you're one of us.
But some Texas politicians say he went too far.
I believe it is the biggest issue facing families and schools in America since prayer was taken out of public schools. He has set a policy in place that will divide the country, not along political lines, but along family values and school districts.
Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick expressed fear that men could use the directive as a way to enter women's restrooms and sexually assault them.
If you associate that group with my community, it's an insult.
Trans youth, by and large, are experiencing more discrimination and harassment in schools. What we're finding, at least locally by anecdotal evidence, is that it's not so much their peers, it's that trans youth are impacted by policies enacted by adults.
If Texas schools do not allow a transgender student to use the bathroom or locker room of their gender identity, a complaint can be issued with the Department of Education, and federal funding can be removed.
In Texas, he can keep his 30 pieces of silver. We will not yield to blackmail from the President of the United States.
Penalizing all of the school children in Texas for a small group's misguided attempt to legislate people's bodies is unfair and inhumane.
On average, about 15% of Texas public schools' budget comes from federal funding. Transgender people in Texas say they hope the political battle doesn't discourage others from transitioning.
Fight the battle, because in the end, it's just so much worth it when you are yourself. You know, I mean, it's just all the struggle that I went through, all the pain. I couldn't think of any other way to live than to be genuine with myself.
Jennifer Kendall, Fox 7 News.